When Bambi left the hotel room where she had shot the second segment of her documentary, the sun had just begun to rise above Atlanta. Her thoughts was racing, yet her eyes were puffy and her voice was hoarse. The previous evening had been different. Everything. Less than a day, with 3 million views. Numerous DMs from co-stars, some are in favor, while others are threatening legal action. Fans have been using hashtags like #SoccerJustice to bombard her comments. I expose thee and for Bambi. Even while producers, attorneys, and even therapists were bombarding her email with notifications offering free sessions, nothing prepared her for the discovery that was ahead. She had received a message from Scrappy just after midnight. "Let's have a conversation." After all they'd been through, it was just us and no cameras. Even though she didn't trust him, she secretly hoped that this time he was sincere. Only he was the one who knew her before to the commotion, the performance, and all of this. She thus concurred. She requested that he come get her early. Just them and the truth, without any glitz or entourage. They hardly exchanged words during the travel. Scrappy drove quietly, looking at her every now and again as if he could see the anguish on her face. She didn't care that he seemed worn out and exhausted. Her hands remained folded and her walls were up, with her gaze fixed on the window on her lap, until she saw the burner phone squished clumsily under the seat. A cheap prepaid phone was barely visible, facing down, yet it caught her attention like a gravitational pull. Sharply, "Pull over," she commanded. Scrappy's forehead wrinkled. Slowly, he said, "What?" "Pull the F*** over." Anxiously, as if he had just stabbed her in the back on public television, she reached down, grabbed the phone, and looked at him. TV. His face became white. "Is there anything you're hiding?" Her voice was tight yet shaking as she asked. "Nothing," Scrappy said too hastily. The phone, which was not even password secured, was unlocked by her. Her heart stopped when she discovered the erased texts and the abundance of screenshots, voice notes, and messages to a contact saved as TK, but some of them were still there. "Short. I would not have been able to achieve it without you leaking the correct tape. You are the one we needed, and she's running with it now. After that, everything fell apart, and I just could not allow Bambi to continue to play me on camera." Bambi's chest clenched, her fingers shook, and she froze. She glanced up at Scrappy, blinking quickly as the tears came again, but this time they weren't tears of despair, but fury. "You collaborated with Tasha K?" With a dangerous tone, she questioned low. Scrappy said, "Listen, it wasn't like that." But Bambi smashed the, "You let her destroy him," she said, pointing to the phone on the dashboard. "Posted as if it was her material, twisting my suffering. You're thanking her now." Scrappy made an effort to explain, but nothing he said made sense. He had the appearance of someone stuck in quicksand, recognizing that there was no more rope. He murmured, "I thought maybe we could both get away with it if she exposed VH1. "No." Bambi shook her head. "While I gazed, you believed you could exploit her to seem innocent. Erratic." In her palm, the phone buzzed once more. TK sent a new message. "I'm glad the leak was fixed. Before I reveal the rest, tell her to calm down." Bambi let out a gasp. "There's more." Scrappy reached for the telephone. "Don't." She withdrew. "There's more." He didn't respond. That was sufficient response. She slammed the vehicle door so fiercely it rattled as she leaped out. Already cameras were in the air. The shade chamber, TMZ, even those co-stars who were observing from burner accounts. This was meant to be her recovery time. Rather, she just revealed the ultimate treachery. Tasha K and Scrappy have been collaborating behind the scenes the whole time. Bambi went online later that night. Just her, the burner phone, and no filters or gloss. A fire inside her. She held out the phone and stated, "This is the phone I found in his car. This is the appearance of betrayal and what happens when a loved one exacerbates your suffering. A blogger just to protect his own reputation." The remarks went viral. "God, he did. What? Scrappy and Tasha have been cunning. She had faith in him. I would have set the automobile on fire." She then read out loud the messages. Fans of all of them were reposting, dissecting it as if it were the Zeproor movie. Her co-stars were messaging her, and Mama D phoned her 3 times in 10 minutes. Voicemails that stated anything from "I told you" to "I'm riding with you now, baby girl," for many minutes. Additionally, during the Tasha K grinned, "City in a stuffy jail cell," she had just received a printed snapshot of Bambi's live stream from her assistant, titled, "He's exposed. What now?" Tasha K reclined against the wall and said, "That's great. Let them ruin each other." In the meanwhile, back at the damage, control crew at VH1 headquarters was going crazy. There was a crisis meeting. Publicists, producers, and attorneys are all attempting to choose whether to make a statement or just remain mute once again. However, it was too late. Already, supporters were demanding a complete boycott. It's not reality television. Emotional terrorism is what this is. We saw a lady lose her mind over something. I'm finished. Scrappy is worse than we first believed. If he did this. Hold on, Scrappy. In a witnessed it all happen on a throwaway Instagram account from a private condo. He didn't have his phone on. Since the live, he hadn't posted anything. Bambi hadn't heard from him since the altercation. But the shame was mounting. Not because he was apprehended, but more because he secretly knew he never ceased to love her. He just had no idea how to keep her safe without also protecting himself. He walked around the room. Voice memos are accumulating. Cast members inquiring about his whereabouts stood. The attorney for Tasha K is asking for further information on the leaks. Mama D, I'm messaging in all capitals. Make it right. I will. However, Tamika, the whistleblower who disclosed the Zoom conversation, sent the worst message. "Hello? Just so you're aware, you are part of Tasha's backup plan." Scrappy stopped. He was unsure about what it meant, but he had a feeling that things weren't going to get much better, not even close. And the countdown has just begun once again. The outcry was more rapid than anybody had anticipated. 12 hours after Bambi's in a live broadcast, more than 200,000 viewers tagged VH1 and demanded an answer. The hashtag #BurnerPhoneBetrayal started to trend in posts. Globally, major sponsors withdrew from forthcoming promotional events, and Season 12 reunion film inexplicably vanished from streaming services. Scrappy was no longer the only person Bambi was exposing. She had turned into emotion. Behind her viral success, however, was a woman who was quietly collapsing. Within, Bambi sat by herself in her flat, surrounded by flashing phone displays and unopened takeaway cartons. Her tone was, her thoughts was racing, yet her body was tight. She kept playing the messages over and over again. The quiet in the vehicle, the way Scrappy gazed at her without even denying it, it was more than simply treachery. Emotional execution was what it was. Moreover, Tasha K still had additional footage. She could not afford to disregard that menace. She pulled out her phone. A fresh voicemail. Tamika. "Hey, we have to get together. I discovered something. Additionally, you should see it before Tasha releases her next episode." Bambi didn't think twice. She put on a sweatshirt, put the burner phone in her pocket, and replied to Tamika's text, "Provide the address." Scrappy, meantime, was in a downward spiral. He hadn't slept. He hadn't had any food. He continued to update his mentions. Till his phone died. It had been covered by all the outlets. Scrappy's leak was revealed. The collapse of blogger Tasha K was planned, and he allowed it to occur. The true villain of hip-hop and love. He looked at old pictures of himself and Bambi, focusing on grins that seemed like falsehoods now. He began to type a post. "I made a mistake. I felt frightened." He couldn't complete it, "But I didn't intend to harm you." Back then, every rendition seemed phony. His cell rang. A banned number sending a new message. "Do you want to have your name cleared? Tell them what Tasha threatened to do to you." Scrappy felt his face's blood drain. In danger? No. Manipulated? Perhaps backed into a corner? Of course. Bambi had never been the target of his criticism. However, Tasha K threatened to reveal his private messages with another cast member when she presented him with that contract. It seemed as if he had no option from 2 years before. There was nothing he could do. He attempted to give Tasha K's team a call. No response. The subsequent text arrived more quickly. "Avoid making a call. Watch the teaser when it drops in 5 seconds." His heart fell. He noticed it at the unfiltered Tasha K. burner phone point when he accessed Instagram. 2. Scrappy's true intent. You believed she was the only one, the caption said. I was wearing receipts. I've been shooting for months, sweetie. I'll see you on Friday. Bambi met Tamika at the rear of a shuttered salon on the other side of town. There were no lights on. The room was only illuminated by a laptop screen. No welcomes, no embraces, just a sense of urgency. Tamika replied, She's going to release something dangerous. However, you must understand that Scrappy and you are not alone. On her laptop, she accessed a folder named Raw Footage Confidential. There were clips within that were never supposed to be seen. While seated with producers, Scrappy states, If we depict her as sad, I may act as a support function. A reunion bureau depicts Bambi crying backstage as Tasha K smiles off camera. A diary of production crew group chats. One message said, This needs a meltdown. Weak. Bambi's due for a scene of breakdown. Bambi put her hand over her lips. This was intended. Each second, Tamika nodded. Then she revealed the true surprise. Another phone is there. Tasha wasn't working by themselves. Bambi blinked. What? She was working with another cast member, Tamika muttered. And it's Erica Mana, if I'm correct. The room became silent. She WDN single quotes, T. No, Bambi whispered. Tika handed her a printed email chain and stated, I had the same thought, but saw that the thread had been sent. Erica receives an email from Tasha K with a Dropbox link. Subject line, If she goes live, use this. The timestamp. The first trailer for Bambi's documentary was released one day before. Bambi's knees became weak. They were prepared for me. Tasha K was sitting in prison at the same time, her lawyer and a camera aimed straight at her. No screenplay. Venom is the only number makeup. She addressed the camera. I gave them a chance. However, they may behave as if I didn't do anything. If Scrappy wants to be foolish and Bambi wants to weep for clicks, cool. Their admissions are with me. I possess their changes. Their contracts are with me, and they'll regret they hadn't after I'm finished. Gone viral. Then she grinned. The tape should be rolled. The internet burst once again a few hours later. Bambi was popular. Scrappy was popular, but so was Tasha K's third leak. 0. Furthermore, it was worse than anybody had anticipated. Scrappy appeared in a green outfit in the teaser. Another tape of her stating, I just want her to snap. Then I'll be the one they root for. In a vulnerable moment, Bambi says, They want me to cry on cue. Fine. The scene cuts right to a producer. Chuckling. A tape of Tasha K stating, Scrappy gave me access, was the last voice note. The internet went crazy because I knew what she was going to write before she did. Cast members started unfollowing Scrappy and Bambi. Sierra said in a mysterious tweet, Told you that both of them were acting. In a fit of fury, Mama D went live, yelling onto the camera, The girl is not innocent and my kid is a pawn. The lines were being redrew. Somehow, Dot and Tasha K had been able to bring them all down, beside her, 3 hours. It took that long for the internet to turn on its head. The story was completely changed in 3 hours by Tasha K's released video. Admirers believed they comprehended. Scrappy's remark, I want her to lose it so I can be the one they support, was shown on all blog, TikTok response video, and YouTube short like a chant. Bambi was once praised for being a survivor and truth teller, was being dissected frame by frame now. Did she perform all the time? Was her collapse genuine? Furthermore, why hadn't Bambi realized sooner if Scrappy had granted Tasha access? Bambi was sitting on her kitchen floor in the midst of everything, with her personal phones, the burner she had discovered, and a just-acquired prepaid she had purchased it under a false identity. New edits of her tears appeared each time she reloaded her stream, now overlaid with dramatic zoom-ins, sound effects, or music remixes. Once again, the same suffering she sought to recover was disdain. Yet it wasn't the network this time. The world was the thing. It was terrible in her inbox. Brand agreements stalled. An organization that promotes mental wellness ended their collaboration. She received a direct text from one producer. For a few weeks, you may wish to keep quiet. Keep quiet? She felt like screaming. Rather, she opened her notes app and started typing once again. Chapter 2. When survival depends on quiet. Scrappy was hiding away at Mama D's home across town, but even she was seldom talking to him anymore. She had walked after her tremendous live performance. "You had better find your soul in there because God knows I can't save you this time," she added, as she led him into the living room and gave him a Bible. She then departed. And Scrappy quietly observed the fan responses as if he were experiencing his own funeral in real time. They referred to him as a snake, a gapster, and a manipulator. Worst of all, however, is believable. When he last looked through his mentions, one caught his attention. "For years I stood up for you, and now for the sake of your ego, you are simply another male who led a black woman to take the blame." He switched the phone off, but the quiet was broken as he arrived at his door. Slowly, Scrappy opened it. She, first, simply gazed at him without saying anything. "You were aware that she would shatter." At last, she said, "I didn't plan it like that," mumbled Scrappy. "However, you also failed to halt it." A flash disc was held up by her. "All of this is what I didn't publish. The emails, the receipts you believed she would never see, the producers you deceived, the notes, and the scenes you attempted to eliminate." Scrappy's expression fell. "You have 48 hours to answer." "Because if you don't," Tamika replied. "Broadcasting. Everything and not on YouTube. They have already made contact on Hulu." Attained out. Tasha K was back in the prison getting ready for her last interview before being released. Her crew had filtered and created an entire trailer out of a mobile phone footage. The jail, Tasha K's Truth Edition. Over ominous images, her voice could be heard. "They took advantage of me. They took advantage of one another. And I meant everyone when I said I was going to expose them." In the end, she held up a ripped production contract. It wasn't only Bambi's signature. Under the line that said, "Cast conflict is encouraged if it enhances story arcs," Scrappy signed it. At midnight, the trailer was posted on Twitter. By 2 hours a.m., Bambi was popular with the hashtag #IFakeVictim. Scrappy became popular with Tasha K. And our clout chaser were receiving proposals to make a full-length documentary out of the material. Bambi received hundreds of voicemails that morning, but one message in particular altered everything. It was Tasha K. "In the tape," she said, "you wanted war. However, you were never ready. For every weapon I had. Examine your email. I just sent something to you that demonstrates that you are not alone in being played." Shaking, Bambi opened her inbox. The screen was recorded. A screen capture showing Scrappy messaging another person, not Tasha at all. A cast member's assistant, not a producer, providing inside information on Bambi's an audio file titled "The Real Setup" was uploaded, along with the shooting schedule, her edited lines, and even her candid outfit choices. She hit the play button. The sound of Scrappy's voice was clear. "I instructed Tasha to reveal the first scene. In order to make Bambi seem unstable, I needed her to go public. In this manner, I may emerge as the hero when I release my own footage." Bam. I let the phone drop. She let out a scream. Not a scream for a camera, exactly. Not a meltdown on reality TV. An actual one that made the windows tremble. "No more silence. No more Instagram lives," she said at that point. No more scripts and soft lighting. She reached for her camera, pressed record, and, "Scrappy Tasha, forget what you saw and see what you didn't. The makers didn't only misrepresent me. They made an effort to remove me, but I also maintained receipts, and I'm going to play all of them." The footage was unprocessed. Unfiltered and unsteady, it reached 5 million views before lunchtime. The fans lost it. They attempted to remove her. "Scrappy is finished. You should never trust edited tears because of this." VH1 released a statement when the mayhem broke out, but it was hardly an apology. It was a separation. "We're key personnel. Have been put on administrative leave